Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. Happy February. January set a new record for snowfall in Ottawa, Canada, with about 42 inches of snow in the month. The days are getting longer, and we're now fully into 2019. Your income is up 10%. You've been going to the gym every day, and you've lost 10 pounds, right? Well, even if you haven't, these episodes are an investment in yourself. In today's episode, we're reviewing the book of the month. In order to be considered for the book of the month, a book must meet a very simple criteria. It has to be capable of changing your life or your perspective on the world. Of course, whether it changes your life is up to you. You can consume the content, remark on how good it is, and continue on with your life without making any changes. In fact, that's what most people do. And if that's what you do, you're missing the point. This month's book is Building a Storybrand by Donald Miller. Most real estate investors tend to focus on, you guessed it, real estate. But real estate is a business like any other business, and in order to be successful, clients need to know what you have to offer, and therefore marketing becomes a vital skill. Donald Miller is a high-quality guy. I really like him, even though he specializes in marketing. I never feel like I'm talking with a marketer or a salesman. His teaching flows so effortlessly and naturally, you never feel like you're being sold. At the core of his work is the idea that you must communicate simply and clearly. If you confuse, you lose. The confused mind doesn't buy. The second major idea is that we as humans connect with stories. We love stories. Stories are so important that we live inside stories most of the time. We're, in fact, even unaware that we're doing that. The core of any well-crafted story is much like a good movie. There's several characters in a movie, and the story we want to follow here is the classic hero's journey. Movies like Star Wars are some of the best examples of the hero's journey. In the movie, just as in real life, we connect with the hero. The hero is Luke Skywalker, and the hero is also the viewer. That's you. There's a second vital role in the movie. That person is the guide. In Star Wars, that's Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. In that plot line, there's uncertainty. The hero is uncertain whether they can actually achieve success, whether they can defeat the evil empire. They need help, and that help comes from the guide. If your business is trying to attract clients and you cast yourself as the hero, then there's no place in the story for your client to play the role of the hero. Your potential client will not connect with you or your business because there's no room for them in the story. The client needs to be the hero in the story. If they're not the hero, they won't see themselves in the story and they won't buy from you. It doesn't matter whether your offer is a rental apartment or an investment or consulting services. The client needs to see themselves as the hero in the story. In this context, the hero's journey goes something like this. A character, that is our hero, they have a problem. They encounter a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action and helps them avoid failure and ultimately leads them to success. That's the classic hero's journey. And the Storybrand lays all of this out in a 7-part framework for how to engage your clients. And there's no skipping steps. Now, the next critical item, of course, is to position yourself as the guide. As it turns out, the guide is actually the most powerful character in the story. Think about Yoda. He's way more powerful than Luke Skywalker. Even in real life, Sir Edmund Hillary is credited as the first person to summit Mount Everest. He's the hero, but his guide, Tenzing Norgay, was the guy who was really more powerful and helped Sir Edmund Hillary summit the mountain. In more recent times, that history has been actually rewritten to reflect the role of the Sherpa, the guide in that story. Now, I'm not going to summarize the entire book in this episode, but I will highlight one more critical element, and that's the Grunt Test. When a client visits your website, in the length of time that it takes to grunt, we're talking about that 0.6 of a second, can they figure out what your offer is and how they can engage with you? Can they figure out if your potential client has to expend too many calories to figure out what it is that you're selling? The brain will choose to conserve calories first. You've got to make it easy to figure out without having to click through too many menus or anything like that. They have to be able to figure it out in a few tenths of a second. In the length of time it takes to grunt, they've got to figure it out. If you're in business for yourself, if you have something to sell, if you have anything to sell, Building a Storybrand by Donald Miller is an absolute must-read. Definitely check it out. In the meantime, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.